Welcome to Cinemophile, where we bring you the best in independent, documentary, and foreign films, and we talk to the people who made them. I'm your host, Mike Caspar, and you can find out more about the program by going to cinemophilepod.com. Linda Perry is one of the most outspoken and recognizable artists of the past 30 years. The hat, the tattoos, the massive single What's Up, and her band Four Non-Blondes have made her an icon. But the decades since the song topped the charts, Linda has reinvented herself many times over, and that's what this incredibly well-done documentary film brings to light. It's called Linda Perry, Let It Die Here, and we're fortunate to have with us and honored to have with us the director, Don Hardy. Don, welcome to Cinemophile.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. As I shared with you before we got started, I knew Four Non-Blondes, What's Up, huge hit. I mean, it was everywhere for a fairly long period of time, and it's popped up now and then. But I didn't really know much about Linda Perry. I didn't know the lead singer of Four Non-Blondes, and here we are. And thank you, because she has had and continues to have a remarkable career as an artist and also as a facilitator of other artists. That's just scratching the surface of this wonderful documentary film. Tell me a little bit about how you came to this project, because obviously she trusted you. Obviously you had access, amazing access. How did it happen?
Well, it is a rather interesting story. My film before this one was about Sean Penn's work in Haiti. And I'd known Sean for a while. And then when the earthquake in Haiti happened in 2010, I volunteered to go down there and just shoot some footage. And in those early days, right after the earthquake, we were just trying to push footage out to CNN and other places to let people know what was going on in Haiti. Just spending a little bit of time there, I quickly was like, wow, this is amazing what's happening here, and it'd be a great documentary. And then it takes me years and years to actually figure out what that is. I make a bunch of other movies in the meantime, but then his organization, Sean's organization, does a gala, or they did every year. At one of them, we showed a trailer for this hopeful film, hopefully to raise some interest and get the funds to finish it or something like that. And Linda happened to be there, and
Yeah.
she came up to my producing partner, Sean Daly, after they knew each other because he used to play in a band that Linda had produced, and she said, "I want to score this movie," because she'd never really scored anything before, but she wanted something connected with her here. And we met, and we ended up, she did go on to score that film. And during the making of it, we forged a bit of a friendship. And even though we couldn't really be in the same place much, because now we're hitting the early days of COVID. So we were just on the phone and throwing ideas back and forth via Zoom. But then when restrictions lifted, I went down and just hung with her in her studio. And at this point in Linda's life, this is around, 2021, she was really in the studio every day. That was her safe space. I was hanging out, I would film some stuff, we would talk, and I just got to know her more. And at some point, I said, "You'd make for a fascinating film." Because just like you said, I had no idea the depth of everything that she'd done. I knew some of the big songs, "Beautiful," that became a huge hit for Christina Aguilera, "Let's Get the Party Started" with Pink. But there was so much more to her than that. And just that time in the studio, seeing the way that she worked, where she doesn't really go in with a big idea, as she just starts and the song shows what it wants to be to her. And she puts on different personas while doing it. And that's probably what makes her such a great writer for other people. She inhabits them in a way. But as we just started spending time together, I said, "How come, you don't want to be the front person anymore? How come you don't want to be out there more?" And she's like, I don't know. It's something I've thought about, and I could see she was wrestling with it. And I guess ultimately that became the idea for the film: is would she be able to find her voice for herself again?
Well, it's obvious that she found that space to allow you into, to get to know her. She, from the very opening, from the very beginning of the film, is vulnerable with a touch of attitude. I won't call it anger, right? But you can see, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because there's an arc to the story. And I think from the beginning to the end, you're watching it happen. And that's one of the great things about being in the right place at the right time for you documentary filmmakers is to be able to see that and to understand, well, this may not fit something now, but you never know. And I'm sure that's part of the process when you're making a film like this. You never know. That is really what comes across. And that honesty that you're talking about is from the moment we see her. I had no idea. I didn't know she had anything to do with Christina Aguilera or Kate Hudson or any of these or Dolly Parton. All of this stuff is a revelation to me. And I am a huge music fan. So the fact that I
Interesting.
did not understand or know there's Brandi Carlile, there's so many people in the film who are accomplished artists who look at her as someone to emulate or to be more like. So that's amazing to me.
Yeah, and it's true that these once you start investigating a bit, you realize how many other artists she's touched and what an inspiration she's been to them. And now, in many cases, have become some of the biggest artists in the world. I think when we interviewed Brandi Carlile for the film, it was really she was just hitting this apex that, well, I think is she's probably surpassed now a couple years later. But to hear her go back to being a young girl idolizing Linda and wanting to be more like her. You don't hear those stories too much. You don't. So even in that way, with interviews with her and Christina, you see their vulnerability more than maybe people do in other films. So there's just, to me, there's always a magic to these. And when you see Linda being so open, and I just try to get out of the way, and sometimes somewhat forgot I was there and just let
Yeah.
her do what she does. In other points, it becomes a conversation between her and I. It wasn't something we shot with a big crew and all of that. It was sometimes we would have two or three people, but a lot of days it was just me. And we would, hang out for the day. And I felt really privileged to get this. I've always been fascinated with the idea of like the inception of a song or the inception of something that then goes on to, think if we were there, when the well, in some cases there was that Beatles documentary where you see some of these legendary songs take root, and I saw that, with Linda regularly of just coming in with a fragment of an idea, and at the end of the day, you're like, wow, that's a song that I could hear on the radio.
One of the things that I think distinguishes her, and a lot of artists, not just her, certainly, but is that the song doesn't have to sound like a hit. It doesn't have
Yeah.
to sound like something that will play on the radio or whatever mode of listening that you would be listening to it on. It doesn't sound like that. And
Right.
it's a hard thing to not want to do if you're an artist. Let's say you've had some success and then you're away from the spotlight and you're kind of reintroducing yourself or whatever the circumstances might be. It's a tough business for
Yeah.
everybody. So to not lean into, well, this will sound great on, to a lot of people because it's that honesty that you see and hear in the songs. You see it on screen, but you hear it in the songs that I think is inspiring to many of the people, all the people actually that we see in the film who want to work with her. They're inspired by that. Is that a fair way to put it?
Yeah, I think so. I think something that's been part of all of Linda's music going back to Four Non Blondes is that honesty. Her voice. We did a little concert last night. Actually, I'm in New York today because our film is premiering tonight in theaters. And we did a little small concert last night, and the people that were in the room were a lot of people that go to fancy private events. And so that you don't think they're going to be surprised or wowed by things maybe as much because they've seen it all. And it was just the opposite. And you saw people just responding to her music and the depth of feeling in her voice. It was, yeah, there was a lot of people wiping tears away. It was very, very honest. And that's unique. I think people are looking for more of that today. If you listen to the radio, it feels like a lot of things are searching for to be that hit. And I don't think Linda's ever really followed those kind of trends.
Yeah, that is truly what comes across. In terms of telling the story, she's very open and honest about the relationships that she's had with the people in her life, including, and maybe most importantly, her mother. That serves as kind of a focal point of the film, her relationship and how growing up, what she went through. But I want to go back to one thing because I want to make this point. Uh, but the song that we know her from, Four Non Blondes, What's Up, was not even the take that the company, record company, wanted to put out. That wasn't the version. And the way that she went about
Yeah.
getting the version that we all know out is so indicative of her as a person. I just want to make that point. Just the thing that we know most about her is that song, and it was her basically through her own initiative. That's how we got to hear it.
Yeah, that's totally true. And one interesting thing we do in the film is we were able to dig back into the vault and find the original version. And so we give people a little taste of how different the song would have been. Show what Linda's ears, even at that young age, I think she was what 20, 25 or something when she was making that. She knew what things needed to sound like. And boy, you can't argue with the success that song is 30 plus years on. It's got over 2 billion streams on YouTube. It had another moment this year on TikTok. It's
Yeah.
been used in films. It's just one of those, it's a classic.
It's the vocals. I mean, the song
Yeah.
is good. It's a good song, but it's really all about the vocal in that.
Yeah,
With all due respect to the people in the band and all, but I
for
mean, it's
sure.
just yeah. So that's it. I want to go back again. I sort of sidetracked there because I did want to make that point about how we got to know her, but it's her mom, it's her family. We get to a dive into the dysfunction within her family and many siblings, but her mom is in so many ways kind of a Rosetta Stone for her. And I don't want to give anything away, but I just want to say that for a lot of people, the
Yeah.
relationship we have with our moms is crucial to who we are as people. And that certainly is the case with her.
Yeah, I believe it's for good and bad.
Right.
And it is something that makes, I feel, and I think probably part of what helped our relationship take root is is talking about family things. And not long before we started filming this, my father passed away, and so we opened up to each other. Linda says in the film that her mother is her villain and her muse.
Yeah.
She's always been trying to be the person that she felt her mom wanted her to be. And a lot of us do that. A lot of us are trying to live our lives for somebody else, and very few of us will allow a camera to document the times where we're questioning that logic, and just asking those big questions about, am I on the path I'm supposed to be on? And Linda does that here. And as we've started to screen the film, that's one thing that people
Yeah.
at every screening I've been at have connected with. And I've had a lot of people come up to me and give me a hug afterwards, and as they're wiping away a tear or two, and they see a lot of themselves in the struggle that Linda's going through here. You're never quite sure when you're making these if how things will connect with people and what they'll take away. But I am very heartened that the love and care and vulnerability that we put into this seems to be coming through to audiences.
Yeah. And I second that because it's an emotional film. And it picks up steam in that regard in terms of her vulnerability. There's a scene, you'll know what I'm talking about, but they won't. I'll just say Supertramp.
Yeah.
It's a great scene. I assume you weren't there for that,
I
but
was not hiding in the closet that morning. No.
but it sort of there along the way, it just sort of becomes more and more the vulnerability, but the honesty, and the relatability. Somebody said this to me many years ago, and I thought it was something apt. If you met your parents walking down the street and you didn't know they were your parents, what would you think of them? And kind of that's a question that's kind of stuck with me, right? Just like, what would I think of these people who happen to be the reason I'm here? And I think film is that writ large.
Yeah.
in so many different ways.
Yeah, I can see that. And and then we realize that, our parents are coming from a different time and they're
Yeah,
bringing their own experiences into it, and in most cases just trying to do the best they can. And history is not a fixed line. It's a very, it's a bumpy road along there. And yeah, I hope there's a scene that I love in the film with Linda and her child Rhodes.
yes,
That to me, yeah, we learn a little bit. It's not, I don't think it's giving anything away to say, yeah, it was a tough upbringing and her mom was very tough on her. You see how she's making that conscious decision to take a different path with her own child
yeah,
and giving Rhodes all of the freedom they can have. Yeah, in many ways, being the parent that she wishes she had. So
yeah,
that's, a good omen, I think, for the next generation. That if we can learn from some of the tough times, make
yeah.
things a little bit better for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think exactly. You learn, you move on. There's a saying that I heard a few years ago, adopt, adapt, and improve. Okay. So
Yeah,
that's a good way to look at life. Adopt the
yeah.
things, adapt to them, and make sure you can make the best of it. And in some way, I think that's a dumbed down version of what Linda has done in her life. But by the way, I want to let our listeners know we're speaking with the director of this remarkable documentary film called Linda Perry, Let It Die. Here it is opening, as you mentioned. Thank you for making time to talk with us on the night it will be premiering in New York City, including an acoustic performance. Maybe I can fly out there. I think I can get there. Just an acoustic performance. It'll be screening at the Regal Union Square and also opening here in Los Angeles on May 13th at the TCL Chinese Theater. Everybody knows. We used to know it as the Grauman's Chinese Theater here when I
Yeah.
was growing up, but you know where it is if you're in Los Angeles area. From there, it's moving across the country around San Francisco, Denver, London. Well, pardon me, and other places: Palm Springs, San Diego, Sedona, Bloomington, Indiana, and Tempe, Arizona, and many, many more. And I'm sure, I really think this is going to resonate with a lot of people. I think this will find its audience. I really do truly believe that. And you mentioned the documentary you did with Sean Penn, which that's what you were on for before, Citizen Penn. Really well done documentary film. Really
Thank
under
you.
dire circumstances, incredibly dire circumstances, as I recall. What an amazing enterprise that must have been for you. You have been in a war zone, and now you've been in Linda Perry's studio. If being a filmmaker hasn't taught you that the world is full of possibilities, I don't know what would have. So
Well, and then the one before that was called Pick of the Litter, where we followed five puppies on a quest to become guide dogs. So I've broken every rule that you're supposed to have in this, of like working with working with animals, working with, Sean Penn's this horrible guy, right? Linda Perry's difficult,
yeah,
So
yeah,
I don't make it easy, but I find they've all been, I mean, certainly the puppies and the people that raised them. Pick of the Litter was a very special film in that way of just getting deep into seeing what goes into training these amazing animals, and the time spent with Sean in Haiti, in all of the volunteers and in the Haitian people.
yeah.
So to finally to see that through and have it come out, and I'm very proud of the film. It was a difficult time because it was supposed to premiere at Tribeca in April of 2020, and then the
Oof.
world shut down in March of
Yeah,
2020.
yeah.
So it made it challenging, but it had a good life on Discovery Plus, and now it's still available everywhere. So still get emails now and then when people find it, but
Terrific
it's challenging
documentary.
out there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
By the
it's
way,
challenging
yeah, yeah,
to find
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, I want to acknowledge Dana Nachman, your your collaborator on many. You've worked with her on many projects. She's terrific.
Yeah.
Well, Don Hardy, thank you. Thank you so much for all of your
Thanks,
work.
Mike.
We can go way
Oh,
back on this, but it's been terrific. Give a hug to Linda for me, will you
of
please?
course. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Glad I got to know her. Glad I know more about her. She's an amazing artist and open to collaboration, open to other people, what they bring to every one of these projects that we see her involved with. And it was really, truly a pleasure and an honor to get to know her and through your work. So
Oh, thank you.
thank
Yeah,
you.
I greatly appreciate that. And she will too. And it's rare when you have that one line sentence of a film of will she find her voice again to now be sitting here 5 years later. She's Four Non Blondes has been back together. They've played some gigs.
Yeah.
She's got this solo album that just came out today, her first one in 27 years that was inspired by the film. And several dates coming up with that. And to know that in some small way, us taking an interest, being there, filming this, and then being there as everything that you see in the film unfolds, it has set her on a different course. And it's really, yeah, again, it's rare when a documentary goes like that. And sure, there was a lot of twists and turns along the way, but
Yeah.
we're in a really great place now.
It feels like the stars lined up.
Yeah.
And by the way, very quickly, the reviews have been remarkable. 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. It hasn't even come out. There's all people clamoring about how good it is, and it is. So congratulations on this terrific
Thank you, Mike.
documentary film. Don Hardy, for your work on Linda Perry, Let It Die Here. Thank you. Thank you, Don.
Thanks so much, Mike.
You have been listening to Cinemaphile with Mike Kaspar, the place where you will hear from the best in independent documentary and foreign filmmakers. Please check out our previous interviews as well as upcoming interviews and special programming by going to cinemaphilepod.com. We are also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, searchable under Cinemaphile with Mike Kaspar. Until next time, thank you for listening.